Hey guys, and welcome back to another author interview. Today is a self-published Saturday featuring self-published author Katlyn Grace. Katlyn Grace is the author of Finding Hope, which is book 1 in the Lawson series. It is so sweet. I love this book. This cover also is just, it speaks to everything I want in an inspirational fiction book. Katlyn is really the sweetest person ever to talk to. Her interview, you guys are going to be mind blown. So I don't really know what else I can gush about this, so let's just get into the interview. First of all, thank you so much, Katlyn, for volunteering to be a part of Self-Published Saturdays and this entire series of interviews that I'm conducting with self-published and traditionally published authors. To start off, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us all about your wonderful writing projects, your blog, your book, and all of that fun stuff.
Hey guys, I am Katlyn Grace. I am the author of Christian fiction inspirational novel, Finding Hope, and I am also the founder of the Christian encouragement blog, RosePetalsAndFaith. I published Finding Hope in November 2019, and this is the first novel of a 3-part series, the Lawson series. So I'm really excited just to tell you guys a bit about that today. I'm 18. I graduated from Abeka Academy back in the summer, and I am in Stratford Career Institute doing some writing courses. So we're actually going to go ahead and hop into this video. I want to thank Jenna for having me. She's got a lot of questions for me to answer, so let's go ahead and get into it.
What made you choose to be an independently published author and specifically to write Christian fiction and inspirational fiction?
So if you would have told me at 10 that I wanted to write as an adult, I would have laughed in your face because I hated writing, and I'll get into that later. But right now, I'm going to tell you what made me choose to be an independently published author. So I'd heard about self-publishing, but I didn't really know anything about it. And I'd heard about Kindle Direct Publishing, and it just seemed so very simple and just easy to guide myself through, because simple is the way to go for me. So I loved Kindle Direct Publishing, and Cleopatra Margot, she actually reached out to me and offered to help me kind of get Finding Hope out there. And I was more than grateful, because as I said, I did not know what I was doing, did not know what I was getting myself into, but I knew I wanted to get this story out there. So I was like, why not give it a try? So I did, thanks to Cleopatra. Thank you so much, Cleopatra. I've always wanted to inspire others to discover the beauty in following Christ, so it wasn't hard for me to fall into the Christian fiction genre.
So, Katlyn, how do you feel that writing for the Christian fiction genre has impacted your life, and how have you grown from that whole experience and that journey?
I feel privileged to be considered a Christian fiction author, because when I think of Christian fiction authors, I think of big names like Dee Henderson, Colleen Coble, Karen Kingsbury. So it's really cool to be considered that. I know I'm not near as big as them, but maybe one day, who knows? But honestly, I think writing in this genre has helped me improve my walk with the Lord, and just has encouraged my heart as a Christian. I did a lot of research with Finding Hope, and I did a lot of Bible studies, and I think that period of time was very special to me, and it left a huge imprint on my heart, and it really impacted my Christian walk.
What is one thing about self-publishing that you wish you would have known before you started? This could be about the publication process, or maybe even just the writing portion in general. It can be very overwhelming to write a draft. So tell us a little bit about that.
I wish I would have known to give myself some more grace, because I got stressed to the point I wanted to cry multiple times throughout this whole process. I was very hard on myself. So this next time around, I'm learning to give myself some grace and to allow room for mistakes, because that happens. We're all human. So knowing that everything is going to work out in the end is what I keep telling myself, and it did with Finding Hope. It was a long process, but everything worked out in the end, and I'm very happy with the end result.
Do you set deadlines for yourself, or do you mostly work when the inspiration comes to you?
For Finding Hope, it was kind of a write when I get inspired kind of thing, only because I was just kind of writing to pass the time. I thought it was a hobby. I thought it was something that was just gonna, I was just gonna give up eventually. Just because, I thought, that's how hobbies are. You kind of just let go of them eventually. You kind of phase out of them. but I started taking it a bit more seriously, and I started setting deadlines with the second book because I was like, oh my gosh, I really like this. This is something I'm really interested in. So I guess you could say it kind of varies. I do set deadlines, but I give time for inspiration to hit when I get writer's block or when I get stressed. So I believe mainly, this is the main point, I believe God will give me the right things in the right time to write my stories, and again, the story will work out in the end. But I do try to push myself and give myself a little bit of grace at the same time to write and find just a good balance and a good pace that works for me.
So how long did it take you from start to finish to write and edit and publish Finding Hope, which is the first book in the Lawson series?
So, as I stated before, I was writing to pass the time with Finding Hope, so I just did it when I wanted to, which was just like every now and then. So I started writing it, I think my freshman or my sophomore year in high school, and it was published the fall after I graduated high school, which was just November 2019. So it took roughly about 4 to 5 years. I want to say 4.5 years, somewhere around there. But now that I'm taking writing a bit more seriously, I'm setting deadlines and I'm trying to find a pace that works for me.
How much of the work did you outsource? Editing, formatting, cover design? If you did some or all of it yourself, what was that like? And what was it like to collaborate with other people? Was that really helpful for you?
So indie author Cleopatra Margot, she edited it for me. We had a lot of fun phone calls and just very productive phone calls back in the fall. So I designed the front cover of Finding Hope, and she did the spine and the back of it, and she also formatted everything inside of the book. So Cleopatra is a huge hero in my eyes, and she has a huge part behind Finding Hope, and I appreciate that so much because she did a lot, and she's a very patient, gracious, loving friend, and I appreciate her more than words can say.
So would you recommend doing it this way? And what have you learned about these aspects of indie publishing through your experiences?
So if you're an author wanting to get your work out there and you've got the patience and the determination and the will to just get it out there, I definitely recommend doing it. And KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, was super simple and amazing to work with and through. It was just a really great program and super simple to just walk right along with you. And to answer the second question, because of indie publishing, I've learned to be more patient, to be more gracious, and to just accept help when it is offered. Knock your pride down a few notches and accept that help, because you gain friends for a lifetime. So yeah.
What is your favorite aspect of being a self-published author, and what would you say is the hardest part of being a self-published author that you maybe have had to overcome, or a challenge that you've had to face?
So I think my favorite aspect was seeing all the hard work paid off. All these years of working on this book and pouring my blood, sweat, tears. I don't know about blood, maybe paper cut. I don't know. But pouring all of this amount of time into this book and then finally seeing the end result, it was just like an overwhelming moment, and my emotions just bubbled out. But it was just, I think that's my favorite part of seeing it just all come together in the end, and especially the book signing I got to plan with another local author, seeing all of the community and the support just pour in, it felt great. So that was, I think, my favorite part, is just seeing all of that hard work pay off. The hardest part, I think, was editing and marketing. Editing, you just have to have patience, and I learned that throughout that process. For marketing, I had to strategically plan each post for each month. That way I could really get the word out there about Finding Hope. I wanted to make it a really nice release and that we could just create this build up. So I did have a street team for that, and I'm very thankful for them. They did a lot of spreading the word for me, and I appreciate that more than words can say. But I'm still constantly trying to spread the word about Finding Hope. I think that's the hardest thing, is the marketing and the editing.
All right, so now getting into the fun, bookish inspired questions. What inspired you to write Finding Hope?
So question number 10 is, what inspired you to write Finding Hope? So there's 3 things: the good Lord, my mama, and a book series. As I stated earlier, I despised writing, I despised reading, And my family had been begging me to read this series, and they were like, this will get you into reading. You'll love it. And I was doubting, but I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and read it. That way they can stop pestering me about it. And it was by D. Henderson, the O'Malley series. And it changed my entire life. Like, I read that series in 1 week. That's how good it was. And there's 6 books in that series. So, it just really changed my perspective, inspired me in my walk with the Lord. And I was suddenly like, oh my gosh, I suddenly have this desire to write. I want to do that for someone else. And it was the weirdest thing. I remember taking a walk and praying. And I was like, God, if this is what you want me to do, you put this desire on my heart for a reason, you're going to have to give me something, because I'm clueless. I don't know how to do any of this. I don't know how to write a story. So you're going to have to help me. And at the end of the summer, with the help of my mom pitching in some ideas and praying for me, I had a series on my hand, which was the Lawson series. Finding Hope is about the middle sibling, Hope, and the second book is about Mark, and the third book is about Brianna, the youngest sibling. She's very feisty, by the way. But yeah, what inspired me to make that short and simple was my mother, the good Lord, and a book series.
So how did you develop all the characters, Ethan, Hope, and the entire Lawson families? How did you go about getting to know them?
I think time just really developed my characters. I gradually got to know them better, and with each draft, I worked out the kinks, and I got them to be the characters that I wanted them to be. And by the final draft, and by the time, it was in book form, I was very happy with the characters and wouldn't change anything about them.
So your book, Finding Hope, deals with lots of heavy topics like loss, depression, alcoholism, and grief, among other things. Those are some things that Ethan, your main character, goes through. So what was it like to write about so many difficult themes and, just imbue those onto your characters, and also write about those with tact and, your goal in inserting those issues into your story?
So I couldn't imagine Ethan, which is the main guy character in Finding Hope, being anyone else. I knew I didn't want to leave him in that depression. I wanted it to be a story of hope. So in order for him to find hope, he had to be in a dark pit first. So I wanted it to be a story that others could feel very impacted by. So while the subjects were really hard to put on Ethan's shoulders and kind of mold into him, I could physically feel Ethan's change just break whenever the time came. Even if he is a fictional character, there's so much more to it, because real people have gone through the same thing, and they've discovered hope because of it. So while it was hard to put loss, alcoholism, and depression on Ethan's shoulders, I watched it all fall into place, and I think it worked out for the best in the end. I wouldn't change it for the world, and I love the character Ethan became.
What do you hope that readers will take away from Ethan and Hope's stories now that they're out in the world for everyone to read?
I pray that readers will take this with them. No matter the condition or shape you're in, God will welcome you in with open arms. And I actually wrote this down so that way I could get it word for word. That no matter the condition or shape you're in right now, God will welcome you in with open arms. And God lets things happen in our lives, not to destroy us, but to make us stronger, better people for Him. I think that's what I want everybody to get out of that. It's just to hold on to hope and to trust in the Lord, and find hope in the midst of each deep, dark situation.
Can you give us a little bit of insight into what future writing projects you are working on, and how does it feel to write new stories now that Finding Hope is published? I know that sometimes it can be pretty difficult to transition into a sequel when you've spent so long working on the first book. So tell us a little bit about what that experience and that process has been like.
Okay, so my camera battery died. I hope I'm back in the right place. So I am working on the sequel to Finding Hope. It's about Mark, the oldest sibling, as I stated before. In the third book, I am working on drafting it. It's about Brianna, the youngest sibling in the Lawson family. It was weird to transition from Hope and Ethan's story to Mark's story. But I was able to weave Hope and Ethan in since they are siblings, and I was able to catch everybody up on, you know, what Hope and Ethan are doing. So it felt good, plus Hope and Ethan's story, it felt finished once Finding Hope was done. But I don't know what I'll do when the series is completed. I think there's such a huge part of me that I think eventually I'll go back into the town and catch up with everybody and just write a new story with it. So who knows?
Finally, thank you so much for getting through this entire interview with me. What advice would you give to authors and writers considering self-publishing based on your own experience? How rewarding has it been? What would you suggest that other people do? Just, you know, all that fun stuff.
So to other authors considering self-publishing, I think the biggest thing I could tell you is just have patience, give yourself some grace, and give the pencil to God. The best things come to those who trust in the Lord and just give Him the story. And it takes time. Believe me, it takes time. And you'll probably get aggravated with yourself, with the story. You'll probably cry. You'll probably feel like you want to shred your story. But it all works out in the end, because if you have patience and trust in the Lord, He will give you the story in the right time, and He will give you the desires of your heart. And I think that's my biggest piece of advice, is to just give your story and to give it to God, and know that He's going to take care of it. He's going to work it all out in the end. From experience, I never thought that the world could read Finding Hope. I never thought that the world could read Finding Hope. But it's out there now, and I feel so blessed and so thankful, and so thankful that I waited on the Lord and gave this story to Him. That is all for the questions today. I want to thank Jenna for having me on her self-published Saturdays. This was so fun to do, and I appreciate her reaching out to me and asking me to be a part of this series. Finding Hope will be, this book right here will be linked below in the description bar, along with my social media outlets. If you want to check out my other work and my pages, just check them all out down below. I just pray that I can inspire you to discover the beauty in following Christ, and I hope that Finding Hope blesses your soul. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I was gonna say I will see you in my next video, but this isn't my YouTube channel. You can check that out, that'll be down below. But thanks again, Jenna, and be sure to watch the rest of her self-published Saturdays. I'm so excited to watch them myself. Alright, see you guys later. Bye!
Alright, thank you so much, Katlyn, for appearing on my YouTube channel, for being a part of author interviews, and for being a part of self-published Saturdays. It means so much to me that you were able to take the time out of your day to record these clips. If you guys are interested in Katlyn, her books, or her blog, or any of that kind of stuff, then be sure you check out the description box below, because that holds a wealth of information about both Katlyn and myself. If you don't know who I am by now, my name is Jenna Van Mourik. I'm an author yet to be published of biblical fiction and a reviewer of biblical fiction and Christian fiction. I post weekly videos here on YouTube of bookish related content, whether that's books I've been loving lately, TBRs, or fun bookish tags. And I also post here a weekly interview with an author, whether that's a self-published Saturday or a traditionally published Tuesday. If you are also like me and obsessed with biblical fiction, then you should check out my Biblical Fiction Buffs Goodreads book club. It is an online quarterly book club. We are currently in the middle of studying The End of the Magi by Patrick W. Carr. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, then check out the links for all of that in the description box below. You can also find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, where I post pretty much every single day all the fun bookish things, bookish updates, writing updates, and of course, what I'm doing with my life. My blog is also active. You can find the link to that in the description box below, or you can go to author Jenna Van Mourik for more content like this. If you enjoyed this video, then be sure to give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so that you never miss a new video like this. I hope you're enjoying Interview with an Author, self-published Saturdays, and traditionally published Tuesdays, and thank you so much for sticking around all the way to the end of this video. I will see you guys in the next one if you choose to subscribe. Bye!